Lucas was a young boy who lived in a small village. The village was quiet, with only a few houses and lots of green fields. Near the village, there was a big forest that everyone talked about. The forest was full of tall trees, and it seemed to hide many secrets. People in the village said that if you went deep into the forest, you might find something magical. Some said there was a tree that could make wishes come true. Others said it had special powers. Lucas had always been curious about the forest. He would sit by the edge and look at the trees, wondering what might be hidden deep inside. Lucas was only 10 years old, but he felt older in his heart. He loved adventure. Every day, he would dream of exploring the forest. He would imagine what he could find if he were brave enough to go inside. He had heard stories from his friends about the magical tree, but no one knew exactly where it was. Some said it was very far inside the forest, and no one had ever returned after going to find it. The more Lucas heard these stories, the more he wanted to go. He wanted to be the one to find the tree and discover its secret. One sunny afternoon, while Lucas was playing near the forest, he overheard his friends talking. They were laughing, but Lucas could hear a hint of excitement in their voices. They were talking about the magical tree again. "The tree is real, I'm sure of it," one of his friends said. "I heard it can grant wishes." Lucas felt his heart race. He had always believed the tree was real, but now he knew he had to find it. That night, after dinner, Lucas couldn't stop thinking about the forest. His mind was filled with questions. What if I'm the one who can find the tree? He thought, what if I can learn its secret? But Lucas also felt scared. He knew the forest was big, and many people had warned him not to go too far inside. His parents had always told him to stay close to the village and never go too deep into the woods. They said it was dangerous. His mother often told him, "Lucas, stay away from the forest. It's too big and too dark. You don't know what's in there." But Lucas didn't listen. He wanted to see it for himself. He knew that the journey would be hard, but he felt ready. He had to know what was hidden in the forest. The next morning, Lucas woke up early. The sun was just rising, and the sky was a soft pink. He quietly got out of bed and packed a small bag. He put some bread, a water bottle, and a map in the bag. The map was old and not very clear, but Lucas thought it might help him find his way. He didn't know how long the journey would take, but he was ready for it. He wanted to be the one to discover the magic of the forest. Before he left, he went to say goodbye to his parents. They were sitting in the living room, and they looked up when they saw him. "Where are you going, Lucas?" his mother asked. "I'm going to the forest," Lucas said. "I want to find the magical tree." His mother's face turned serious. "Lucas, don't go. It's too dangerous. You don't know what's in that forest." But Lucas was determined. "I have to go, Mom. I have to see it for myself." His father didn't say anything, but he looked worried. "Be careful, Lucas," he said quietly. "I will, Dad, I promise," Lucas said with a smile. With that, Lucas walked out the door. He looked back at his parents one last time and felt a little sad. But he knew this was something he had to do. The forest called to him, and he couldn't ignore it. Lucas walked slowly at first, feeling the soft ground under his feet. The trees around him were tall, and their leaves rustled in the wind. The air smelled fresh and cool. He walked deeper and deeper into the forest. The sun was still shining, but it seemed dimmer as the trees grew thicker. The sounds of birds and animals filled the air, but Lucas felt a little scared. It was quiet, but not in the way he was used to. It was a strange kind of quiet, like the forest was hiding something. As he walked, he kept thinking about the magical tree. What if I find it? He wondered. What if it's not just a story? What if it can really grant wishes? But Lucas also felt a little nervous. He had never been this deep into the forest before. The trees were so tall, and the shadows seemed to follow him. Every now and then, he would hear something moving in the bushes or see an animal run by, but he didn't stop. He had made a promise to himself that he would find the tree. Lucas didn't know how far he had walked, but the sun was beginning to set. The sky turned orange and pink, and the air grew cooler. He felt a little tired, but he didn't want to stop. "I can't turn back now," he told himself. I have to keep going. I have to find the tree. The path in the forest was narrow, and it was getting harder to see. Lucas's heart raced with excitement, but also with fear. Will I find the tree? He wondered. Or is it just a story after all? Lucas was far from home now, and he wasn't sure where he was. The shadows in the forest seemed to grow longer, and the trees looked even bigger. But he kept going, step by step, because he knew that the adventure had just begun. Lucas walked deeper into the forest, the ground soft beneath his feet. He was no longer sure where he was. The path was difficult to follow, and the trees seemed to stretch on forever. With every step, the forest felt larger and darker. The birds' songs had quieted, and only the rustling of leaves and the occasional sound of an animal moving in the bushes could be heard. Lucas was excited, but also nervous. The thought of the magical tree kept him going, but the fear of getting lost started to grow. The forest was big, much bigger than he had imagined. Lucas walked for hours, trying to stay on the path, but it seemed to disappear in places. Sometimes, he would have to climb over fallen trees or step carefully around thorny bushes. His feet were sore, and his legs were getting tired. He wished he had packed more food, but he kept walking, determined to find the tree. He couldn't stop now. He had come too far to turn back. As Lucas walked, he began to wonder if the tree was real or just a story. Was it out there, waiting for him? He felt unsure. What if he couldn't find it? What if the forest was just full of empty promises and tales? The thought made him feel sad, but then he remembered the riddle the old woman had told him. 3 and 1 are 1, but 1 alone is nothing. Lucas didn't understand the riddle fully, but he knew it must be important. Maybe the answer was the key to finding the tree. While thinking about the riddle, Lucas came across a small clearing in the forest. He stopped and sat down on a rock to rest for a moment. The wind blew gently, and the trees swayed above him. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. As he sat there, he noticed an old woman sitting by a small fire in the middle of the clearing. She looked up when she saw Lucas and smiled softly. "You look lost, young one," she said, her voice calm and kind. Lucas stood up quickly, surprised by her sudden appearance. "I'm not lost," he said, though he wasn't sure if that was true. "I'm looking for the magical tree in the forest. Do you know where it is?" The old woman looked at him with wise eyes. "Ah, the tree," she said, her voice full of mystery. "It is far from here, deeper in the forest, but finding it is not easy. Many have tried, but not all have returned." Lucas felt a mix of fear and excitement. "I'm not afraid. I will find it," the old woman nodded slowly. Finding the tree is not just about being brave. It is about understanding something much deeper. Do you know the riddle of the tree? Lucas nodded. Yes, it's 3 and 1 are 1, but 1 alone is nothing. The old woman smiled, her eyes twinkling. That is a riddle with great meaning. It is the key to the tree's secret. But you must understand it before you can reach the tree. The answer is not just words, it is a lesson. Lucas felt confused, but also more curious than ever. "What does it mean?" he asked. The old woman stood up and slowly walked around the fire. "You will find out in time. The tree will tell you the answer, but you must first understand it within yourself. Remember, the tree is not just about magic. It is about balance in all things." With those words, the old woman disappeared into the shadows, leaving Lucas alone in the clearing. He sat quietly, thinking about what she had said. Balance, what did that mean? And how would it help him find the tree? Lucas was not sure, but he was determined to keep going. He couldn't stop now. He stood up and began walking again, his mind filled with thoughts of the riddle and the old woman's words. He didn't know where the tree was, but he believed it was still out there, waiting for him. As the day turned into evening, Lucas continued his journey. The sky began to change color, turning orange and pink as the sun set behind the trees. The air grew cooler and Lucas felt tired. His feet hurt and his stomach growled with hunger, but he kept going. He knew he couldn't stop now. He had to find the tree. The deeper he went into the forest, the quieter it became. The sounds of animals and birds seemed to disappear. and all Lucas could hear was the sound of his own footsteps and the soft rustling of the leaves. He felt more and more alone as he walked. The forest seemed to close in around him, and the shadows grew longer with each step. Lucas stopped to rest again, sitting on a fallen log. He looked around, trying to figure out where he was. The trees were so thick that he could hardly see the sky anymore. He felt lost, but he refused to give up. He stood up and began walking once more, following a narrow path that led deeper into the forest. After what felt like hours, Lucas reached a place where the trees seemed to open up. He looked ahead and saw something glowing in the distance. His heart raced with excitement. Was it the tree? He took a deep breath and ran toward the light, hoping it was the magical tree he had been searching for. The journey had been long and difficult, but Lucas was finally close. He could feel it. As he moved closer to the glowing light, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He was getting closer to the answer. The forest had been a challenge, but it had also taught him something important. The riddle, the journey, and the old woman's words were all pieces of a puzzle that he was starting to understand. With every step, Lucas felt his excitement grow. The tree was waiting for him, and soon he would discover its secret. Lucas walked through the forest, feeling more excited with each step. The light in the distance grew brighter, and he knew he was getting closer to the tree. The air around him seemed to feel different, as if the trees themselves were watching him. He could feel his heart beating faster, and his hands felt warm despite the cool evening air. He had come so far, and he was almost there. As Lucas moved closer to the light, he could see the tree. It was taller than any tree he had ever seen before. Its branches reached high into the sky, and its leaves shimmered in the light, glowing with a soft golden glow. The tree stood alone in the middle of a clearing, surrounded by tall grass that gently swayed in the breeze. Lucas stood still for a moment, staring at the tree in awe. It was beautiful, more beautiful than he had imagined. He felt a sense of peace as he looked at it. The tree's bark seemed to shine with an almost magical light. Lucas stepped closer, feeling nervous but excited. He had finally found it. The tree had been waiting for him. He stopped just in front of it, his eyes wide with wonder. For a moment, nothing happened. The forest was silent, and all he could hear was the sound of his own breath. Then, to his surprise, the tree spoke. "Welcome, Lucas." The tree's voice was deep and calm, like a gentle wind. "I have been waiting for you." Lucas jumped back, startled. "You can talk?" he asked, his voice shaking a little. "Yes," the tree replied. "I have the ability to speak, but only to those who are truly ready to hear." Lucas felt a mix of excitement and fear. He had been looking for this tree for so long, and now that he was standing in front of it, he wasn't sure what to say. The tree seemed so powerful, so wise. He finally gathered his courage and spoke. "I've come to find the answer to the riddle," Lucas said. "The riddle the old woman told me. 3 and 1 are 1. But 1 alone is nothing. What does it mean?" The tree was quiet for a moment, and Lucas held his breath, waiting for an answer. Then, the tree's voice filled the air again. "The riddle is about balance," the tree said. "It means that in life, there must be balance between 3 parts: your body, your mind, and your spirit. Each part is important. If one is missing, the others cannot work properly. You need all 3 to be complete. When they are balanced, you will be strong." Lucas listened carefully, trying to understand. "So, the riddle means that I need to take care of all 3 parts of myself?" he asked. "Yes," the tree answered. "Your body needs to be healthy, your mind needs to be sharp, and your spirit needs to be at peace. If one is weak, the others will struggle. But when they are balanced, you will find true strength." Lucas thought about the tree's words. He had always focused on one thing at a time. Sometimes he spent too much time thinking, and other times he worked too hard, forgetting to take care of his body. He had never really thought about how important balance was in his life. Now, standing in front of the tree, he realized that the tree was teaching him something very important. "I understand," Lucas said quietly. "Balance is important." "Yes," the tree said softly. "But balance is not something you find once and forget. It is something you must work on every day. Every decision you make affects your balance. You must take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit every day. Lucas nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. He felt like he had just learned something very important. The tree wasn't just a magical place, it was a place of wisdom. The journey he had taken through the forest, the riddle, and the lessons from the tree had all taught him something about life. You have done well, Lucas, the tree said. You have learned the secret of the forest, and now you are ready to return home. Lucas felt a little sad, but he knew it was time to go. He had found the tree, and he had learned its secret. He had found the balance he had been searching for, and now he could use that balance in his own life. Thank you, Lucas said, his voice full of gratitude. I will remember what you have taught me. The tree's branches moved gently in the wind. Go now, Lucas, your journey is not over. There will be more lessons for you in the future, but remember that balance is the key to understanding everything. With those words, Lucas turned and began his journey back through the forest. As he walked, he felt lighter, as though a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He no longer felt lost or afraid. The forest was no longer a place of mystery, but a place of learning. He had learned that everything in life needed balance, and that balance was something he could control. When Lucas returned home, his parents were waiting for him. They were relieved to see him safe and sound. Lucas shared what he had learned from the tree, and though his parents didn't understand it the way he did, they were proud of him. They could see that he had changed. He was no longer the same boy who had left to find the tree. He was a boy who had learned a valuable lesson. From that day on, Lucas tried to live with balance in his life. He made time for his body, his mind, and his spirit. He learned that life wasn't just about adventure or excitement. It was about finding peace within yourself. And whenever he looked at the forest, he remembered the tree and the wisdom it had shared with him. Lucas knew that he would face more challenges in the future, but he also knew that as long as he remembered the lesson of balance, he would be ready for whatever came his way. As Lucas returned to his village, he was no longer the same young boy who had left. His journey through the forest had changed him. He had found the magical tree, but more importantly, he had discovered a deeper truth about life. The tree had taught him the importance of balance. The balance between the body, the mind, and the spirit. These three parts of life must work together in harmony for a person to be truly strong. Lucas understood now that he could not focus too much on one part of himself while ignoring the others. His body needed care, his mind needed rest, and his spirit needed peace. After his return, Lucas began applying the lesson he had learned to his life. He started paying more attention to his health, reading more books to keep his mind sharp, and taking time to relax and think about the world around him. He felt more peaceful, more centered, and more in control of his life. He realized that true strength doesn't come from doing everything alone. It comes from finding balance in all aspects of life. The story of Lucas teaches us all an important lesson, that balance is the key to a happy and healthy life. Sometimes, we focus too much on one part of ourselves, such as our work or our physical health, while forgetting the other parts. But true success and happiness come from taking care of all three parts: body, mind, and spirit. Just like Lucas learned in his journey, we must find time for each of these parts in our daily lives. For example, if you're always busy working and never take time to relax or think, your mind and spirit can become tired and stressed. On the other hand, if you focus only on your physical health but ignore your mental well-being, you might not feel truly happy. It is important to balance these parts and pay attention to each one equally. So, what can we learn from Lucas's journey? Take time every day to care for your body, to nourish your mind with knowledge, and to find peace for your spirit. This will make you feel stronger, more peaceful, and more prepared for whatever challenges come your way. Congratulations on finishing the story. You've just improved your listening and understanding of English. Now, here's a quick question for you. What was the lesson that Lucas learned from the magical tree? How to become stronger physically, be the importance of balancing body, mind, and spirit. Please comment your answer or be below and interact with the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to support our channel so we can continue creating more great content for you. Also, if you'd like to help us keep making these free lessons, consider donating to help with the costs of running the channel. Your support makes a big difference, and we appreciate it. Thank you for listening and learning with us.